everybody! It's time for another Book Review Monday, and as promised, I am talking about Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. Mistborn is technically the series name, and this is book 1, which is called The Final Empire. This book has some of the highest ratings on Goodreads that I have probably ever seen. And it definitely has a really large following in the booktube community, and so I was really excited to read this, and so many people I know have actually recommended this book to me as well. So I picked it up and I decided to do the audiobook. This was narrated by Michael Kramer, and he did a fantastic job at doing so. Sometimes I feel like you can get very confused when you do an audiobook versus physically reading it. And that was not the case for this book. I was transported into the world and I absolutely fell in love with each and every single character that I was introduced to in the story. And even just by the first chapter, I really wanted to dive deeper and learn more about Kelsier. And as I continued to read and I got introduced to Vin, I absolutely fell in love with her as well. And then learning about Mistborns and alchemy and feruchemy, I was just so blown away by the magic system in this book and how they manipulate metals into creating these fantastic feats, whether it's being super strong or using luck or persuasion against another person, either to riot or subdue somebody's emotions. There's so many fantastic elements about this story, and even though I did the audiobook for a majority of the story, for the last 100 pages out of the 650 pages, I actually read along with my audiobook for that entire thing because I couldn't put this book out of my mind. I couldn't work on homework. I just needed to keep reading and keep figuring everything out. Brandon Sanderson definitely has a way with words, and he's able to construct these very elaborate fantasy elements and fantasy regions and creating these new locations and places that you just want to read so much about. So this book has two main branches of society. You're either Ska or you're a part of nobility, and the Ska people are looked down upon, they're oppressed, they have no abilities to control metals and elemancy. Because of that, they're put to work and they're slaves. And then the hierarchy, they're the soldiers and the nobility, they run everything and they rule over these Ska people that are very oppressed, and they have this mindset that Ska are just Ska and they are inferior to those noble, normal people. So that is the main theme about the story, is how you handle being oppressed and what this oppression means to society, and how you have all of these thieving guilds and you have revolutionists, and then when that oppression becomes too much, what are you going to do? Are you going to revolt? And so much of the story takes place with that, because you have Kelsier, who is the lead revolutionist, and then you have Vin, who is a thief, and she's always lived on the streets. But then she meets Kelsier and finds out that she actually has these elementic abilities, and she wants to learn how to control them, and then she gets exposed to this revolutionary type lifestyle, and she is really interested about it, but she's not exactly sure if she wants to participate herself because she's lived her life based on survival. One fascinating element about this story, with her being on the streets and living on the streets and only seeking out survival, when she is exposed to Kelsier, she discovers this whole other way of life, and she's exposed to how the nobility live and go about their daily lives. So she gets to see herself in this different persona. And so this book also talks a little bit about self-identity and how she views herself based off of her past street living and now her living with a different purpose, and also her with her alchemy abilities. So she's really struggling with that self-identity throughout the book, and I just can't wait for her to continue to grow. And with the ending of this book, I just can't wait to find out what happens next. And so I actually already have my hands on the second audiobook, and I plan on reading it very, very soon. So as a closer, I definitely understand why people absolutely love this book. Brandon Sanderson's a great author, and I definitely plan on sticking out for the rest of the series. And probably also will be scoping out his other books because he is so eloquent and so great at storytelling that I really can't wait to see what else he has out there. And I highly, highly recommend that you pick up Mistborn because it is a thicker book of 650 pages, but it flies by so fast. Please let me know in the comments down below how you feel about the Mistborn series. If you have read it, I would really like to be exposed to any other types of themes and elements that you enjoyed about the story that I might have forgotten to mention in this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you later. Goodbye!